You're listening to the Zone Coverage Football Show, where opinions, passion, and pride are always on the line. Live from Tees Towers, here's your host, Mark Tees.
Hello, and welcome along to the Zone Coverage Football Show. It is Sunday, the 12th. It's not the 12th of December. Every single week I look at my monitor, I see the date, and I manage to mess that up. Anyway, it's definitely December. It's definitely a Sunday. I'm definitely mental. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Check all those boxes. It's the 7th of December, week 14, episode 19 of the show. This one titled NFC Down The Stretch. If you tuned in last week, we did a rundown of the AFC, and I did tell you that the San Diego Chargers schedule was absolutely brutal, did I not? But I also reeled off that amazing fact that they were something like 33-7 during the course of the last 5 games since 2006. So yeah, the Chargers schedule, not very good. But yeah, they're winning. They got the Pats today, so you never ever know. Anyway, we'll get to all that later. A relatively packed show today. No fan versus fan today because people just keep laying me down. So, oh, that's the wrong song. Why Ben McAdoo song is coming on here. Supposed to press B for booze. But there you go. Anyway, that's to fan versus fan segment. Off to a strong start here, I do feel. Anyway, fingers crossed you have joined me a little earlier than usual. Yeah, 15 minutes earlier. I've got to go pick the wife up. I'll be honest, I won't lie, I won't BS you, I won't just whatever. But I've got to go pick the wife up, so I've had to start the show a little earlier than normal. So you are doing that via the TuneIn and Spreaker app. Welcome aboard. Keep mentioning the Spreaker app in the corner of the windows. In the corner of the windows? In the corner of the Spreaker app, there's a little voice chat room that pops up. Just type away and chat to me, and we'll have some randomness. Why not? What else do we do? You can listen via Spreaker, TuneIn. Yeah, also you can send messages via TuneIn. Discovered this last week. Scott Larkin hit me up. Says, I'm messaging via TuneIn. I didn't even know that facility existed, so appreciate that, Scott, and apologies for not replying to you. Beyond that, if you want to listen in the form of a podcast, you can do that. iTunes, Stitcher. Get on there. Ratings. Just leave me a rating. If you think it's a pile of crap, I don't care. Whack a rating in. Tell me what you think, and away we go. Stitcher, do exactly the same. And if you've missed all that because I am a baffling, rambling fool, go to the new website. I mean new funky website. I've done it up this week. So www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com. Go check that out. Tell me what your thoughts are. Do you like the new layout? It's nice, clean and crisp. So fingers crossed that is to your taking there. So check that out. You can do that now. If you're listening now, hit me up on Twitter, Zone Coverage FS. So what do you think of the new site? That should be the hot route, but that'd be quite cheesy. Right then, what do we have coming up on today's show? We got the hot route in a minute. The hot route, rather than just going with like one subject, I'm going to mix it up here in all honesty. The floor is open, so I'm going to sort of try and spoon feed you, and fingers crossed we get a few calls. NFL news, we do have plenty of news over the course of this past week. Weekend Words does continue on. No Texas Tees once again, so I save you from the misery there. Loveline returns this week, so a couple of big guys we shall discuss. If you're new to the show, welcome along. Loveline, it's not a dating service. Stick around and you'll find what that is all about. Fan versus fan, as I mentioned, yeah, not happening this week. Don't get me started on that. We're going to go have a look at the NFC run-in, a few stats and stuff there. Fantasy 5 at 4:45 today. We are mixing it up. Simon from at Dundee NFL. Excuse me, Dundee NFL podcast, Fourth Down Out podcast, I should say. He will be joining me with his fantasy FUDs and just under an hour's time. So we do have that coming up. We shall also check in on the playoff picture, look at the standings. No Tom today from Huddle Magazine. If regular listeners don't know that Tom's been battling trains, stations, tunnels, all sorts of shenanigans has been going on whilst he's been bringing us the live news. So he's still in the middle of a move, so no Tom today. But do go check out Huddle Magazine at huddlemagazine.com. Latest copies out. Evan Coscarelli's on the front. And that's all you need to know, really, in fairness. Why would you not want to have a feast your eyes on Erin Coscarelli. If you don't know how Erin Coscarelli is, Google search and you can thank me later. You're very welcome. That's Sunday service done for you. Right then, let's just check in on Twitter. See, that is Zone Coverage FS. We do have Will Davies, first one every single week. Love it. Says, afternoon, despite trying to catch us all out with the change of time and on board and looking forward to another great show. It's the wife. Blame the wife. You know how it is. The women, they pull the strings every now and again. I get away with murder and fairness. Do the show, and then I watch the 6 o'clock game, 9:25 game, and the late game. I go bed around 5 a.m. Monday morning, so 15-minute level leeway. So it gets me a lot, so I can't complain too much. I do have a message in the Spreaker app, so let's check that out. Oh, yeah. Noel says, I did ask Noel because I was going to do the Lions and Bucks today for the fan versus fan. He said he'd step in if no one else had come in. I got a Lions fan, Noel. Appreciate that, buddy. But the Bucks fan let me down. So, and I can't rustle anything together now, but I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the message on Spreaker as well. Right then, let's get into some news. That has been a frantic 6 minutes, so if I can find the correct button, no Ben McAdoo news here, so let's see if we can get this one correct. Here we go. NFL news. Right then, the docket is full this week. Plenty's been going on over the course of the last 7 days within the NFL. We will start off in Tennessee with the Titans. Wide receiver Justin Hunter suffered a lacerated spleen during Sunday's game versus the Texans. He was taken to the hospital, since been placed on IR. That happened on Wednesday. Talking about that test there. Oh, I nearly said something wrong then. Texans game. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the magical moustache. I have absolutely ribbed Fitzpatrick for a number of years. He brought me great joy imploding against the what was average Jets. Now they're just a piling steam, mess of steaming dog turd. So yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, credit where it's due. Outstanding performance last week. I tip my moustache to your moustache, sir. Great game. On to the news. Well, back to the news, I should say. The NFL will not discipline the St. Louis Rams players. Steadwell Bailey, Tavon Austin, Jared Cook, Chris Givens and Kenny Britt. They come out of the tunnel during Sunday's introductions to the game with the hands up, don't shoot. That was basically a gesture of solidarity with the protesters in Ferguson, Missouri. So I would imagine that you've all heard about the a tragic sort of incident that's gone on there. Right then, on to the Carolina Panthers. They cut veteran cornerback Anton Carson. Hang on, where's that? Yeah, they did. Anton Carson is gone. And fifth round rookie Benny, I'm going to trip up on this. I can't speak normally. Ben Wikiri? Sounds like a character out of Star Wars anyway, but basically the Panthers have cut a cornerback you've never heard of and replaced him with a rookie you've never heard of. So, in other news, not a lot's gone on. Anyway, let's move on to the Giants. Giants defensive end Robert Ayers is out for the year and has been placed on IR with a torn pec. The Giants pretty much have everyone on IR, in fairness. It looks like some clown is dressed up in an Eli suit and just throwing interceptions. Oh wait, no, that's actually just been confirmed. That is still Eli Manning with that miserable face of his. So yeah, Giants DN Robert Ayers is out for the year. He was leading the team in sacks with 5. Cardinals safety Tyrann Mathieu, he will have surgery on a fractured thumb, expected to be out for a couple of weeks there. The Cardinals, they are sort of imploding at the moment. Tough schedule. I've just realised I've not set the hot route. We'll get back to the hot route and give you the phone number. Once we've got halfway through the news, we'll mix things up a minute and sort of try and disguise the fact that I forgot what I was doing. Right, the big news this week. It was all over the place about Johnny. Oh, it was absolutely bedlam. I just could not believe it. Yes, Johnny Hecker of the St. Louis Rams made history this week. He's going to earn the most guaranteed money for a punter. A 6-year contract, $19 million extension. So, yeah, all the talk about Johnny this week, it's been absolutely blowing up the headlines. Johnny Hecker, well done, sir. You are a punter making a shed load of money, $9 million guaranteed. I tip my hat, sir. Wow. Unbelievable news. Dominated the NFL headlines, airwaves, whatever you want to call it, this past week. Right then, let's jump back in time to the hot route. Let's pretend that little bit of news never happened. And now, we shall set the hot route.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.
So we have Herm Edwards there having a little rant away, and anything you guys want to rant about today. I've got a few sort of topics. As I said, I'm going to mix it up this week. So the question of the day, should the Browns have gone with Hoyer, Manziel? Yes, I hate talking about Manziel, but it's one of those topics. He is this other Johnny character within the NFL. I'm not really sure if you've heard of him. Does something with his fingers, rubs them together, something about cash, money signs, something like that. Don't know if you've seen him, but if you have, apparently he might have started over Brian Hoyer. So thoughts on that? And also, the race for the MVP. This is what I'm saying. Screw, and I mean screw, the quarterbacks out there. They get way too much praise. All the women, all the cash, everything. J.J. Watt should be MVP of the league. I don't care if he's on a losing team. What does that matter? Say his team has an 8-8 record or a losing record. Why does that factor in to the MVP race? He is doing stuff that people have never, ever done before. JJ Watt is an absolute phenomenal player. I don't think people listening now will see a player of JJ Watt's caliber again in their lifetime. Outstanding. 5 touchdowns, 3 receiving. I think he's returned 2 fumbles for touchdown interceptions and all that. He's sacking everyone. He's disrupting everything. He is just outstanding. Huge man crush on what JJ Watt is doing this year. MVP, sod everyone else. Right then, what else do we have? EJ Manuel, who's the bigger boss there? Trent Richardson, EJ Manuel, throw Gino in the mix. Anything you want to talk about this week. The number to call, 0161 818 4593. 0161 818 4593. And Adam Vaughan's just popped up on the Spreaker app here. Says, why not go with Manziel? He's better and younger than Hoyer. And the thing with Manziel is I feel pretty much what Mike Pettin's been saying, basically. Hoyer's got you there to where you are. I understand the sort of the glitz and glamour that sort of surrounds Manziel. He's the young kid on the block and all that's exciting stuff. And Hoyer's got one more chance for me. Yeah, if he stinks, say he throws a couple of picks in the first quarter, by all means pull him. But I don't think you can upset the locker room at this moment in time. What happens if you go with Manziel and then he just stinks? He doesn't work out. Do you go back to Hoyer? At the moment, you can still sort of keep Manziel as that sort of saviour if you want to play that card. I think it's only fair on Hoyer, in fairness. What is he, 10-5 as a starter? I get that he's younger and better. Yeah, that's still debatable. I'm not seeing a great deal. Well, none of us have seen Manziel in the NFL really to this moment in time. I just don't want to get caught up in all this hype. We had it with Tebow, and I'm not saying that Tebow's Manziel, Manziel's Tebow, nothing like that. I need to see a bit more of a body of a work with Manziel before I even start to sort of sing his praises, in fairness. So Adam Vaughan, I appreciate the message on the Spreaker app. John McDonald, he says he's with me on the JJ Watt for MVP race. So yeah, awesome stuff. I appreciate that, guys. So feel free to hit me up on the Spreaker chat room. You can tweet the show as well at Zone Coverage FS. So yeah, the number again, 0161 818 4593. And you can contact me on Skype. That is T-Smester, T-E-E-C-E Mister. Nearly forgot to spell my surname then. T-E-E-C-E Mister. Right then, back to the news. I have no idea where we broke that big news about Johnny the punter. Right then, where was I? The Browns announced Brian Hoyer's quarterback, Bears have signed Jay Feely. Robbie Gould has been struggling with a quad issue. The Cleveland Browns wide receiver Miles Austin has been placed on IR after being diagnosed with a kidney ailment. The Buffalo Bills have terminated the Toronto series. I do believe that kicked back in around about 2008. So, the Bills are done with the Toronto series. The tendencies there were sort of dipping over the course of the last few years. So, they are done. Texans wide receiver Andre Johnson, he got into the festive move as he treated 11 children to an early Christmas present. One of the good, feel-good stories around the NFL over the course of this past week. As he wears the number 80, he gave the kids 80 seconds to grab what they could at a Toys R Us store. He also gave them a gaming system each and gifts for their siblings. It was the 8th consecutive year that Johnson has treated at-risk children from Child Protective Services to a shopping spree at a local Toys R Us store. Andre Johnson, I tip my hat to you, sir. That is fantastic stuff. I think the bill come to somewhere around about $16,000. So great stuff there. We need more stories like this for me. None of this nonsense that the players get up to. Right then, sticking with Andre Johnson, it was reported on Thursday that he now wants to spend 15 years with the Texans. Bit of a head scratcher that. Was he not like bitching and moaning and all this stuff in the off-season there? He wants to be traded, doesn't want to stay and be a Texan. Oh well, whatever floats your boat, Andre. Good news if you're a Texans fan, I get. Thoughts on that? 01618184593. Tweet the show, Zone Coverage FS. First overall pick, I should say. Jadeveon Clowney is done for the year. He will have knee surgery. Had a bad rookie season. Well, can't really say it's a bad rookie season, but say injuries have hampered his rookie season. He had a knee surgery back in about week 2 or 3 for a torn meniscus. Clearly that procedure didn't go to plan. He's maybe rushed back, not got over that. He's back in for more knee surgery. Done and dusted for the year. So we will have to wait until next year. So right then, Adam Whittaker. Yes, I'm loving this. The Spreaker app's going wild. Adam Whittaker on the Spreaker app. What are your thoughts on the Saints after last week? I can see them winning easily tonight. Right then, the New Orleans Saints have caught me completely off guard. I did not see them losing 3 games at home on the bounce, in fairness. Drew Brees has struggled this year, and I've not seen a great deal of criticism going Drew Brees' way, in fairness. And I think I mentioned this a couple of shows ago. How come certain sort of quarterbacks and players within the league that have got a reputation, they're deemed untouchable? And I regard Drew Brees as one of those. If he has this Matt Ryan as well, he struggled for a while. Nothing bad said against him. Other quarterbacks, if it's Jay Cutler, he throws an interception. My word, Twitter goes into an absolute meltdown. But for the Saints today, I can't even remember who the Saints got. They got the Panthers today. You could say it's one of those trap games, but they should take care of business against the Panthers. They've got no O-line. Cam Newton looks a shadow of himself, in fairness, not helped by that O-line. I do believe one of the running backs is down. I forget which one it is now. So, I can honestly see the Saints winning. Great win last week. Fantastic win. Did not see that one coming either. So, I think it's onwards and upwards. The South has got very interesting all of a sudden. And interesting may be hard with to say, considering that the team still have a losing record, but it's definitely spiced things up. The Falcons as well, they looked impressive last week. So I know that those two teams meet down the stretch. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. We shall see. Jimmy Graham as well last week. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was no receptions last week. So just to prove that maybe there could be life without Jimmy. They don't need him. They can scheme something up and get away from him, gives them more options going forward. I do like that. Mark Ingram for the Saints. I love what he's been doing. Another underrated back in my eyes. So maybe they can lean on the running game a little bit more. Maybe that'll open up this offense a bit more and take the responsibility off Drew Brees' shoulders, who, in my eyes, he's been struggling this year. He's escaped some criticism. So Drew Brees and Saints, I expect them to continue in the good vein of form. Basically, continue to build. No, they'll build on the victory last week. Good form, yeah, 1 win and 4. Well done, Mark. Well done. Right then, back to the news. Where are we now? We mentioned Jadeveon Clowney done for the year. Yeah, Vikings Cordell Patterson has been benched in favour of Charles Johnson. Patterson's been a huge disappointment, and he only played in 3 of the 50 snaps last week. Ravens' Haloti Ngata has been suspended for 4 games for violating the league's PED policy. He will lose $2.1 million as part of his suspension. And this, actually, for me, after this happened, I know it's bad and all that, don't condone it, it's ridiculous, but I actually praise him for coming out and he sort of admitted he made a mistake. So this is what oh my God, I can't speak today. Haloti Ngata said in a statement, "I took Adderall. I take full responsibility for this. I am deeply sorry and broken up over this. I let down my family, my teammates, Ravens fans and myself. My hope is that the Ravens make the playoffs, and I believe they can do this, and then I can come back and help us win." So, and it's nice to see that there's some honesty for once, because you usually get the nonsense, isn't it, now, where it's like, I don't know what happened. Yeah, it just showed up in my system. Yeah, of course you didn't. Right then, on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are parting ways with offensive coordinator Jeff Tedford. He's been on indefinite leave since September. He's had health issues and stuff, so they are parting ways. As reported earlier, the big Johnny news, Johnny Hecker, made history this week. The most guaranteed money for a punter, $9 million for punting a ball. Man, that's just crazy. The Redskins have cut wide receiver Aldrick Robinson. So a week after ditching kicker Brandon McManus, he's back with the Broncos. They cut punter Isaiah Pierce, so this is a bizarre situation in Denver. McManus will do the kickoffs because Connor Barth were falling short last week. Then they're not happy about that. And Connor Barth will kick the field goals. Nice job, Broncos, you clowns. Right then, news item number 19. The Vikings backfield took a hit this week as rookie running back Jerick McKinnon was placed on IR with a back injury. He was averaging 4.8 yards per carry. I do have McKinnon in a fantasy league, and was doing me proud, lad was. Shame to see him go. Vikings backfield are decimated, especially with obviously the AP nonsense that's been rolling on throughout the course of the year. Another player done for the year, Brandon, one step better myself here. Bears wide receiver Brandon Marshall done for the year after suffering 2 broken ribs and a collapsed lung during Thursday's loss to the Dallas Cowboys. That is all the news I have got this week. As I mentioned earlier, no Tom from Huddle Magazine this week, bringing you up-to-minute news at the very end. So we'll just have to make do this week. Keep those tweets and that coming in. Zone Coverage FS and in the Spreaker chat room. Appreciate all the comments there, guys. Hopefully you're hearing the replies. It's kind of difficult for me to type. Keep an eye on everything. Talk, that's the main difficulty, is talking, and reply to you in the chat room. So I'm not being rude or anything, just bear with me when I do play a tune or something in a minute. I'll type away. So appreciate the comments, keep them coming thick and fast. Thanks for tuning in, awesome stuff. Also, give us some feedback on the website. Anyone been to it, checked it out? Do you like it, hate it, what? ZoneCoverageFootballShow.com. Right then, I'll just check in on Twitter. Richard Tinley at Tinley24. Long shot MVP Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown. Guy is balling. Also Jordy Nelson, that sneaky quick wide receiver. Yeah, great calls there, Rich. I agree with them. Jordy Nelson, another. Why does Jordy Nelson not get the praise that he gets, in fairness? What gives there? He's been consistent for the Packers for a number of years now. Like I say, sneaky quick, burnt Reeves the other week, and what a belting game of ball that was last Sunday. Brought me great joy to see the Pats lose with being a Jets fan. So, and that aside, great game. Pats could have won it. Gronk at the end there could have caught that touchdown. But yeah, great game of ball. If that's a preview for the Super Bowl, bring it on. I'm all for that. So that's at Tinley24 there. Appreciate that, Rich. Yeah, good shout. Any sneaky under the radar long shot MVPs? Let's screw these quarterbacks. They get way too much glory. I don't want JJ Watt getting defensive player of the year. He wants MVP, league MVP, setting it on fire, doing stuff people have never done. He's raised the bar. And I mean, like, ridiculously high. It's madness. Right then, let's get on to... Let's do the weekend words. The weekend words, if you are new to the show, basically, I've just gone through a variety of websites and stuff and found a few quotes to a few sort of relatively interesting points that I feel the need to share with you so we can get some insight on what players and coaches have said about their varying situations throughout the course of the last 7 days. So here we go. This one, actually, I don't know if anyone else saw this. It quite intrigued me, and it's something that I actually didn't know. Not that I claim to know a great deal, but anyway, let's go with this. Head of officiating Dean Blandino on teams warming up balls and cold weather. Yeah, you can't do anything with the footballs in terms of anything artificial. Whether you're heating them up, whether it's a regular ball game or a kicking ball, you can't do anything to the football. So that was noticed during the game. Both teams were made aware of it during the game, and will certainly remind clubs as we get into the more colder weather games that you can't do anything with the football in terms of heating them up with those sideline heaters. This actually relates back to, I forget what game it was. I forgot to write it down. But yeah, it was absolutely bitter cold in the vast majority of the states now. And they were warming up the balls on there. You've seen them big heaters that they have where everyone sits with the jackets warming their hands and various body parts up. They were warming the balls up on there. So I didn't even know that you couldn't do that, but that's deemed like tampering. And I did read out a fact a few shows ago now where once a ball's left like the field of play, gone into the crowd, that they can't have them back because, again, they might have been tampered with, and you get a $5,000 fine as well. Nasty illegal cut block, 10 grand. Lobbing a ball to a crowd, making a fan's day, 5 grand. Crazy fine. What's wrong with the fine systems in the league, by the way? 01618184593. Keep those tweets coming. Keep the little stuff coming through on the chat room and the Spreaker app. 4:15 already. If you've joined us 15 minutes ago, you missed 15 minutes of the show. We kicked off at 3:45 today, finishing around about 5:15. I've got to go pick the wife up. I know, one of them things, hand her my man card and all that sort of nonsense. Right then, back to the weekend words. This is another one that's weird. Saint Sean Payton, on reports in the media about him, he's got a rift basically with Bad Santa, a.k.a. Rob Ryan. And this is what he had to say about that. It's been outstanding, but Jason gets his information from an old defensive coordinator and I get along doing great. That does not make sense, yeah. Anyway, basically he was calling out reporters and saying that they're just absolutely nonsense. And then he had this to say on reports about the Saints looking at Ray Rice. I think I would know if we were interested in signing any player, and so. But those are the same Sunday splash reports. When you're in the business on Sunday, you got to have something that everyone reads, if it's truthful or not. So basically, St. Sean Payton was calling out the reporters that were just like digging up stories and just feeding the clicks, basically. Come to my website, a sensationalised headline. There's a rift between him and Bad Santa. He's saying that there isn't. They're going to have words during the game. Fallout. Who doesn't? If that's the case, Des Bryant screams, rants at everyone every single Sunday. I don't see anyone moaning about that or creating a story. He's a passionate guy, wears his heart on his sleeves. Sean Payton and Rob Ryan, again, two passionate guys wear the heart on the sleeves. Would you not want two passionate guys in your camp screaming at each other? I certainly would. I love Rex. He's passionate and shouts at people. The fact that they don't listen that's a whole different story, but hey ho. Another interesting sort of snippet that I picked up on as well. And the theme of head coaches here. Cardinals head coach Bruce Arians offers some advice to Patrick Peterson. And this is basically, Peterson was sort of boasting all week about having a good game and shutting people down and all this sort of nonsense. So you better watch out when you call people out. You better be ready to play. If you're going to call them out, but don't give up a career day. So yes, that is Patrick Peterson getting called out by Bruce Arians there. I love that. That is fantastic stuff. Bruce Arians, I tip my hat to you, sir. Great stuff. So that is that with that one. Drew Brees, yes, on reports that the Saints will draft a quarterback. A lot of talking Saints today. That's very unusual. Nice change, actually. So yeah, Drew Brees on reports that the Saints will draft a QB in April. Something like that, I know, has absolutely no validity to it, Brees said. A lot of the time you can look at who's writing that stuff and you can say, and all you can say is, all right, this guy's trying to make a splash or trying to make a name for himself, whatever it might be. In a lot of cases, I'm not sure where they get their information, if they just completely make it up or if their sources are their cousins. So again, this is sort of referring back to the Sean Payton and Rob Ryan story, that reporters are going after the Saints, and the Saints players and coaches are not holding back and making their views aired, basically. You're making up an absolute load of nonsense. We don't like it. So, yeah, Saints are on the attack. I'm liking this. Just go for it. I like that you're just shooting reporters down and saying that is absolute basic BS. So, that's good fun. Keep that coming. Makes for entertainment, my end. Chuck Pagano let to the defence of the 1-yard wonder that is Trent Richardson. This is what Chuck had to say. He's a professional. None of us can get away from working at our craft regardless of the circumstances, regardless of adversity. Just keep grinding, just keep working, just keep swinging the axe. If he keeps swinging the axe, the tree will fall. If you put the axe down, the tree is never coming down. Just keep chopping wood and good things will happen. Very bizarre statement. Keep chopping wood and good things will happen. All right then. So that is Chuck Pagano telling Trent Richardson to swing the axe. Very, very bizarre. But hey ho. Rex Ryan on the Jets 2-10 record. This is what he had to say. Yeah, absolutely 100%. I'm embarrassed for myself. Absolutely. It's an embarrassment. It's definite embarrassment to me. I feel like I've let my owner down. I let our fan base down. So yeah, of course, there's no doubt. Makes me sad, really. I got a lot of time for Rex. Granted, he's done and dusted. It's time in New York. Get him out, and it's time to wipe the slate clean. Wherever he goes, you're going to end up with a good personality. So, yeah, I don't like seeing Rex like that. It sort of saddens me, but it's one of them things. Right then, here we go. Broncos, Demaryius Thomas on giving the Denver Broncos a home team discount. He is a free agent next year. This is what he had to say on the matter. Of course, why not? Peyton is one of the best in the game, and I've been blessed to have him as my quarterback. I learned so much from him. Denver, of course, I got to take my hats off to them because they took a chance on drafting me in the first round. So, Broncos fans out there, good news that Demaryius Thomas is willing to give you a hometown discount to return to the team next year. I can see Twitter going mad, so I've got four notifications here. So we'll check in on Twitter here. Here we go. Yeah, Richard Tinley again at Tinley24. Harvin is back to Minnesota today, and the Colts running back Trent Richardson back to the Browns. Who will have a better day? Oh, that's a good call. Who will have the better day? Trent Richardson facing his old team or Percy Harvin facing his old team? I would go with Percy Harvin. Definitely. I think Harvin will have the better game. I just don't trust Trent Richardson. He's just been an absolute non-factor. He was impressive in his first year with the Browns. I thought he did okay. And when the Colts drafted him, I was like, whoa, the Colts are really going for it now. But yeah, it's just not panned out. I thought maybe he was getting caught out with trying to learn a new playbook midway through a season. That wasn't to be the case. He's had a full off-season program, and he's still a 1-yard wonder. I know his average is above that, but I just like saying that. It's funny. So, yeah, who's going to have the better day? I'm going to put that out there. Hit me up, Twitter, at Zone Coverage FS, in the Spreaker app as well. Call in 01618184593. Great question, Rich. Rich is after my job here. Who's going to have the better day? Percy Harvin against his old team or Trent Richardson against his old team? Marty actually did reply at Toontime88 on Twitter. He said, I think Percy has the best day. First TD for the Jets today and about 7 question marks. That's Marty and that. They're chatting away on Twitter. If you want to join in there, Zone Coverage FS, keep the tweets coming in. And what else do we have for you now? Yeah, Fan vs. Fan is gone. Shall I do the love line now? Or shall we delve into the nitty-gritty of this show with the NFC stats? I need a drink, so let's go love line. Let's go with the love line. Anyway, here we go.
Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show Love Line.
And that is the awesome music that is the Love Line feature. If you are new, it's not a dating service, I'm sick of saying this, but the Love Line is basically where we give some guys on the line that make heroes out of our running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks and all that, a little bit of love. Without these guys in the trenches, fighting hard every snap, wearing those tight shirts that barely cover their belly for a bit of comedic value and pulling up the pants after every snap, we wouldn't have the heroes and that we do to worship. So I have 2 names for you this week on the Love Line. We start off with Hugh Thornton. He is a guard for the Colts, 6'3", 336 pounds. He was born in Boise, Idaho. Played his college ball at the University of Illinois. He earned Big Ten second team conference selection. He was then drafted by the Colts in the 3rd round of last year's draft, 86th overall. He made his first start for the Colts, I believe it was in week 2 against the Dolphins. He then went on to start the remaining 12 games of the season. Not the remaining 12 games of the season, that's poor maths, my end. He went on to start 12 games anyway that season at left guard. He's also started 8 of the 9 games he's played this season. Yeah, that was Hugh Thornton. That was me not doing Hugh Thornton any justice there. But Hugh Thornton, sir, we send you some love, keeping Andrew Luck safe there. Right then, on to Dwayne Brown, a tackle for the Houston Texans, 6'4", 303 pounds, born in Richmond, Virginia. Played his college ball at Virginia Tech. Numerous accolades during his time at Virginia Tech, including second team All-ACC honours and offensive lineman, end of the year by the Richmond Touchdown Club for the 2nd consecutive year. Drafted by the Texans in the 2008 draft. He was a first-round pick, 26th overall. He has made the Pro Bowl consecutively, 2012, 2013, and has started all but 4 games since being drafted. That is 102 starts out of a possible 106 games. He signed a 6-year, $63.4 million contract in 2012. $22 million guaranteed. Putting that into perspective, that Johnny Punter guy, $9 million guaranteed the other day. Madness. So that is Dwayne Brown from the Houston Texans and Hugh Thornton of the Indianapolis Colts. We salute you guys. And if you've got any nominations for the Love Line, just send them to me at Zone Coverage FS. That would be much appreciated. Again, Hugh Thornton and Dwayne Brown, you guys, we send you some much needed love.
Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show Love Line.
And that is the Love Line. I'm not sure if Love Line will be back next week. It usually takes a week off. Basically, depends on how active I've been in preparation for today's show. Right then, John McDonald, who actually is a Vikings fan, he has answered the question that was asked by Rich Tinley at Tinley24. John McDonald, in the chat room on the Spreaker app, he does say, I see Percy having a better game against us this week. So, yeah, that's going to be brutal if that happens. Nothing worse than a former teammate coming to town and kicking your rear end in your own backyard. That's not your usual own backyard, but you know what I'm getting at. Right then, what do we have coming up? We have the Fantasy 5 at 4:45, so that's going to happen in the next 20 minutes. I will give you the fixtures, tell you what games are on Sky, Eurosport, and all that. We will have a look at the standings, also address the playoff picture if possible, because it's hard to make sense of the playoff picture at the moment. Again, no news from Tom at Huddle Magazine late on, so excuse me, we shall see how that keeps going. So until then, just keep those tweets coming at Zone Coverage FS. Phone lines are open, 01618184593, as is the chat room on Spreaker. I'm going to check in on Twitter briefly, because Twitter's going absolutely berserk. I had 4 notifications last time, and I do mean it's gone berserk. I've got 8 now, so that's crazy my end. So, right then, what do we have? Yes, Ron, my MVP, is the Jets punter, most overworked man in football. He only gets a rest when Jets turn the ball over. I like that one, Ron. That's at RocketRon_65. That definitely brought a smile to my face. Yeah, MVP, Jets punter. It's a good one. Taylor at the Equinox. I've not spoke to Taylor for a while. It just says both. Hope you're well, Taylor. Long time, sir. You at Eurojets. Says that at Eurojets 2 time. Yeah, shows how bad. Yeah, basically they're talking about Trent Richardson. He's having a bad season. A bad career, basically. Marty, one for the Love Line. Don't think it's been done. I won't say the name, or keep that. I shall favourite that, and fingers crossed I shall remember. So that's a Love Line nomination there from at Tombtime88. I do appreciate that, sir. And yeah, the entire Cowboys O-line. I think maybe we should do a Week 17 special, just bowing down to that awesome O-line that is the Cowboys. In fairness, that does deserve a lot of credit. DeMarco Murray, I do believe he bought them all laptops or computers, or some computers, PCs, the other day. Not the other day, it's about 2-3 weeks ago now. When he was on there, he broke the record, didn't he? Back-to-back consecutive 100-yard games. So yeah, that could be one that we do just a Cowboys Love Line, go through them all there. So fantastic stuff. Just checking in now. Yeah, so that's it then. Busy on Twitter, busy in the chat room. Appreciate the interaction, guys. Makes for, hopefully, an enjoyable show for everyone. So the number again, 01618184593 on the Spreaker app. If you're not on Spreaker, it's dead easy sign up. If you've got Facebook and all that sort of nonsense, go Spreaker, it's free, click in, boom, come in the chat room, have a natter. Same with the tune in as well. Just sign up with your Facebook, Twitter account, done. Search for the show, give us a follow, retweet the links out, spread the word. Let's build this audience and get this going. Right then, on to what are we doing? Let's get into it. Let's do this. The NFC run-in down the stretch. If you didn't tune in last week, I'd say you missed a decent enough show. There was certainly some insight offered along the way. I went through the AFC teams, the contenders, as we head down the stretch, basically, and I give you the stats of each team's record over the course of the last 5 games, going back about 3 years, and I sort of dug a bit deeper as in over the last 10 years to just see if there's any sort of theme of how a team finishes. Basically, some teams absolutely stunk towards the back end of the season. The San Diego Chargers, surprisingly, I didn't realise they were that good. They had an outstanding record at something like 33-7 during their end of the season. Won last week, got the Pats today, so that makes for an interesting game. So we'll start off with the NFC East. As it stands, the Eagles Eagles and the Cowboys are now tied, aren't they? Because Cowboys won. No, they're not tied. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Eagles 9-3, Cowboys 9-4. Excuse me. For the Eagles, their last 4 games, 3 out of the last 4 games are divisional games. They've got the Seahawks today. They've then got the Cowboys. They're at the Redskins, at the Giants. The Cowboys, they've got 3 of their last 4 games on the road. At the Bears, which have already been done and dusted. At the Eagles, Colts at home, at the Redskins. For the Eagles, during the 2013 season, they won 3 of the last 4 games. During the 2012 season, they won 1 of the last 4 games. And in 11, they won all 4 of their remaining games. I've looked away from my page and I can't find where I was. Yeah, since 2005, they have won all 4 remaining games twice and finished with more defeats than victories twice. Yeah, that makes sense. And the Cowboys, their record goes like this. 2013 won 1 of the last 4 games. In 2012, they won 2 of the last 4 games. In 11, they won 1 of the last 4 games. And that basically amasses to 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. Hey, they should be on the advert, 118. They should have done that. Someone missed the boat there, people. Big opportunity. Anyway, going back to you have to go back, to the 2009 season when the Cowboys last had a winning record during their last 4 games of the season. So, as that reads, the Eagles finish strong. The Cowboys tend to fizzle out, but they've got a winning record this season, something they've not done for about 10 seasons, something ridiculous. It feels like forever. It's probably not 10, but it feels that long. So, that battle is heating up nicely, and those two actually square off next Sunday, so that's going to be a belting game. That's a little tease for next week. Into the NFC North then. The Packers lead the way here at 9-3. Lions 8-4. For the Packers, they've got the Falcons. And they then at the Bills, at the Bucks, finish off with the Lions. The Lions, 3 of their last 4 games are divisional games. They've got the Bucks today. They've then got the Vikings. They then play at Chicago Bears. And then they welcome the Packers. During the 2013 season, the Packers won 3 of the last 4 games. In 2012, did exactly the same. And in 2011, did. So the last 3 seasons, the Packers have won 3 of the last 4 games. Wow, that's frightening. So they're nice and consistent. You have to go back to when they last had a losing record over the last 4 games. They were 1. They were 1-3. Yeah. I've lost where I am. Oh, dear. Yeah, our last losing record, last 4 games, 1-3. That was, I can't remember. Yeah, basically, you've got to go back. I didn't write down the sodding year. That's what's gone wrong there. Anyway, it's been ages since they last had a losing record. They only won 1 of the last 4 games, and they actually beat the Lions at Lambeau 31-21. I rescued that. No, I didn't. It was awful. Anyway, moving on to the Lions quickly. And last year, 2013, the Lions lost all of their last 4 games. And 2012, lost all of the last 4 games. In 2011, they won 3 of their last 4 games. They lost to the Packers in the final game of the season back in 2011, 45-41, and a bizarre shootout. I believe the backup quarterbacks were in. In 2008, they played the Packers in the last game again, lost 31-21. They played them again also on the last game of the season in 2007, lost 34-13. And they've actually lost the last game of the season, if we get to that point, for the last 3 seasons on the bounce. So the Lions don't tend to finish too strong. They've met the Packers quite a few times during the last game of the season and been on the wrong side of the result there. So reading between the lines, a bit of an uphill struggle there for the Lions going forward, but a playoff berth wild card is not out of their grasp. Into the NFC South, the division that nobody really started caring about until last week when the Falcons and Saints decided, you know what, form book out the window. Let's turn up this week. Let's put a shift in, lads. It's about time we got our fingers from up our rear ends, and did a little bit. So, right, it goes like both 5-7, 5-7. If the Jets are in that division, 3 games out of first place. Crazy. Absolute crazy. Anyway, the Falcons, they are at the Packers on Monday night. They got the Steelers, and then they meet the Saints. Oh, they go to the Saints, at the Saints, finish off with the Panthers. The Saints, they've got the Panthers at the Bears, Falcons at the Bucks. In 2013, the Falcons finished by winning just 1 of the last 4 games. In 2012, they won 2 of the last 4 games, and in 2011, they won 3 of the last 4 games. So yeah, the last time they won more than they won during the last 4 games of the season was in 2007. Yeah, the Saints in 2013, they won 2 of the last 4 games, did exactly the same in 2012, winning 2 of the last 4 games, and then in 2011, they won 4 of the last 4 games. So all of the games I could have said, really. So the Saints finished strong that year. Got to go back to 2009 to when the Saints last had a losing record during the last 4 games, and they won 1 game. And guess who that 1 game was against that year? You guessed right. The Atlanta Falcons, they won 26-23. Just going to check in on Twitter. I can see a couple of notifications. I'm going to guess that it's a conversation going on. Oh, it's people favoriting stuff. It's not even a conversation. But hey-o, keep the tweets coming in at Zone Coverage FS in the chat room on Spreaker. Keep that coming as well. Simon's going to be here in the next 9 minutes with the Fantasy 5 at 4:45. So we just got the NFC West to check in on now. I'll do that in about now. The Cardinals somehow still lead the way, 9-3. It's falling away at the moment. Drew Stanton is it's just not happening for the lad. No running game's not helped him out, done him any favours, in fairness. What's his name now? Dreads. Larry Fitzgerald. Boom, there it was. Somewhere tucked away. I do believe he's probable for today, last thing I saw. So hopefully he can return and ignite the offense, because they've been struggling over the course of the last few weeks. Patrick Peterson needs to turn up rather than mouthing off any man that comes his way. So the Cardinals, 9-3. The Seahawks, 8-4. The 49ers, 7-5. I was talking to Nick earlier. He was on the Fan vs. Fan a couple of weeks back now, 49ers fan, talking about Vernon Davis and the decline. Where's Vernon Davis gone this season? He said he's been used more to blocking. His hands of stone was his quote. So I had an interesting conversation there. Frank Gore as well. They don't seem to be leaning on that as much. Colin Kaepernick. What's with Colin Kaepernick as well? He's been absolutely rubbish this year, in fairness. He has regressed immensely. He just looks to be panicking in the pocket, just struggling to read a D, and I don't know. It's an absolute mess. So I digress. Let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about. The Cardinals, who have they got? They have the Chiefs, then at the Rams, play the Seahawks, and at 49ers. The last 2 games will define their season for me. Divisional games, last 3 games are divisional games, but the 2 that are meaning, no disrespect to the Rams, who have been playing some outstanding, and I mean outstanding football over the course of the last 4 or 5 weeks. Shame you just can't address your quarterback situation. Never mind. So, yeah. Who else is in the race here? 49ers. They've got the Raiders today, Battle of the Bay. Then they go to Seattle, to that Seahawks. They then got, oh my word, what a brutal schedule this is. They've then got the Chargers and the Cardinals. So a rough run in for the 49ers, and especially when your quarterback's not playing the greatest ball in his life. It's the last thing you need. So right then, it goes a little like this. The Seattle Seahawks then, in 2013... they have won 2 of the last 4 games. Then in 2012, they won all 4 of their last 4 games. In 2011, they won 2 of the last 4 games. In 2009, in 2009, they lost every single game, last 4 games. And interesting, none of those games were divisional contests. So it's Seahawks are in the driving seat. The defense has sort of turned the corner. Cam Chancellor is playing better since his return. Bobby Wagner as well. Byron Maxwell. Sherman continues to be doing Richard Sherman type things, and by that I mean running his mouth and just being eccentric. That's sort of the way Sherman is. I still think Revis is the better corner. That's a debate. Let's open that one up. Revis or Sherman, who's the better corner? 01618184593. Right then, moving on. Oh no, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to write down the Cardinals stats. Oh dear. Anyway, 49ers stats, we'll do those. And 2013, they won all 4 of their last 4 games of the season. And 2012, the 49ers won 3 of the last 4 games. They did exactly the same in 2011. And 2004 was the last time the 49ers had a losing record during the last 4 games of the season. That year, they went 1-4. And that was one of only 2 wins that season. So we have to go back 10 years to when the 49ers had a losing record. Cameron Walsh, he's been in on the Spreaker app. Awesome. Loving the Spreaker app today. Enjoying the show, Mark. Expect a statement win from the Seahawks tonight. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Cameron. Mark Sanchez, I hate this as well. Where's this narrative come from that Mark Sanchez is all of a sudden an excellent quarterback? He's still doing Mark Sanchez type things. He's okay. He's going to, I steal a phrase that everyone's stolen, flatter to deceive. He's winning, so it's covering up the cracks. He's still making poor decisions, still throwing picks. I just don't get what the fascination is. He does not look any different to me at all. So, yeah, I just don't get it. Today, he's going to get found out. The Seahawks are going to absolutely knock the crap out of him. So I do fancy the Seahawks winning today. That, for me, should be an enthralling contest. That is another cracking game that I am looking forward to. So that basically rounds up my NFC Down The Stretch preview. Sorry, Cards fans, I forgot to write down your records over the course of the last few seasons, and I really can't be bothered to do some button tapping now because I'm liable to click the button that makes me fall off air. A blessing in disguise, you could argue, but it's just not a chance I'm going to take, in fairness, especially with Simon ringing in. The phone cuts off 27 times when me and Simon talk anyway, so we don't need the show going off air as well. So Simon will be with us in around about 3 minutes' time. So Simon, if you are listening, give us a call, mate. I am ready. Cameron also refers to the Revis statement just made. Revis based on his body of work so far, but we might review this in a few years' time if Sherman continues his form. Boom, Cameron, that is the most sensible argument I've heard. On his body of work, Revis by a mile. If Sherman continues, reassess it. Yeah, I like that. There you go. People actually talking and speaking sense a lot better than me. Cameron, I tip my hat to you, sir. Fantastic point made there. So yeah, I like that. The overall picture, not just now. Awesome stuff. Appreciate that, Cameron. Right then, let's check in on Twitter again before Simon calls in. What's going on? We've got Eurojets. A lot of combo about tanking games for the better pick in the draft. Not a fan of it myself. What's your take? You do get this, don't you? The suck for luck campaign, and now there's the suck for the duck. I don't think you can convince 53 players to all suck and tank. For me, one or two might be done. Say the older ones that may be nursing an injury might not be giving the role, but there's a few that maybe are looking at the roster for next year and they're thinking, I've got to play lights out here. I don't see how you can get everyone on the same page to suck, in fairness. So I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't think you should give up. I mentioned it, referenced it a few weeks back. The Giants players wouldn't tackle Marshawn Lynch. That is shocking. That really gets me. If I see any of that, I'm not for that. If you lose, you lose. Better team wins and fair dues. I can accept that. Giving up and not trying, I don't like that. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. It's basically cheating in my eyes. Play you're doing something you've wanted to do from a small child. You live in a dream, your childhood dream. Go out there and knock the crap out of the man in front of you. Go out, ball, dance in the end zone, do all the things you've dreamed of doing. I just don't see how people can give up. Obviously, the conspiracy theorists amongst us tend to think that happens. I just don't. I'm not convinced that you can convince 50 other people. You might get 4 or 5, and yes, you could argue that those 4 or 5 could be bad enough to sort of throw a result, but I just don't see it, especially with the way things are. It'd come out in a book or something, and yeah, I don't agree with it. It winds me up. Yeah, you shouldn't do it, but you've got to. I know your team are crap and you're on a bad run, but you still got to sort of root for the win and just see how that goes. So one of those things. Just keeping an eye on the theme of Twitter as I await the call from Simon. Fingers crossed he's actually remembered that we're going at 4:45. If he rings at 5, that's going to be interesting. So, yeah, a lot of Jets talk. Sorry to non-Jets fans, but get to Twitter. It's simple. So that's Zone Coverage FS. Morty, he's taken over on he's joined the Spreaker now. He does say this on Revis. Revis is the best man-to-man cover corner I have ever seen. Only weakness in his prime was his hands. Interceptions, Sherman is very good. A better ball hawk. Don't think he will ever be able to have the blanket man-to-man coverage that Revis did. Again, that is a fair assessment there, Martin. I do appreciate that. Fingers crossed this should be Simon. Oh, Skype's changed. Funky. Hello, Simon.
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic, sir. How are you?
Oh, really good, thank you. And this is your fancy foot at 4:45.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And Skype's popped up with a new interface, so I've got fingers crossed that we don't get cut off the average 3 times.
That would make a change, wouldn't it, really?
It certainly would, sir. So how's the decorating going? Have you tackled that beast yet ahead of Christmas?
It's getting there. The walls are being plastered. Yeah, it's not too bad. We're about 2 weeks away, I think. So it's going to be tight, but I think the kitchen's coming to the middle of next week. So hopefully the house will start looking like a normal house again in the next few weeks. So that should be really good.
Good stuff. You'll all be sorted for Christmas then?
Yeah, all being well.
Yeah. So we the Fantasy Fuds last week, or as they've been now, it's cruelly renamed in fairness. No actual reflection. We had Kenny Stills go off last week as well. So
didn't we just?
Yeah.
Let's say if we can just get 1 or 2 out of the 5, we're not doing too bad, I think. But yeah, Kenny Stills was a great call, wasn't it, last week? Even though I say so myself.
Yeah, definitely it was. That's the last couple of weeks we've hit on a few of these now. So basically, players have decided to listen to the show and say, right, we're going to have to pull our socks up here.
Oh, I think so. And of course, they do listen to the show before they take the field.
Yeah, well, they've all sat there. You've seen Kaepernick rocking his beats. What's he doing? He's tuning in to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's obviously listening to us, isn't he?
Yeah,
so,
hopefully.
As are some of the other guys as well. So, we're getting worldwide fame now, you see, Mark. That's what it is.
This is it. And if he goes off today, he would have heard my rant about him being rubbish earlier.
Oh, dear. Right, shall we kick off?
Yes, I think it's best.
Kicked off already.
Let's get to it.
Right, okay. I am going to go for, as per usual, some of the sort of lesser-known names, because as we say every week, Mark, we've pretty much got our lineups set up. We play all our best players. I think that's the best thing to do, especially at this time of the season for those of us, or not some of us that are maybe looking in terms of playoffs. So I'm going to start with running back Jonathan Stewart. Now, he's the running back for the Carolina Panthers. Oh no, I hear everybody say doom and gloom. However, Carolina are pretty, their pass game is sort of falling to pieces. The running game's the only thing that they've got. If anybody's looking for a potential running back or filling in for an injury or anything like that, he's definitely available in lots of leagues. And he ranks top 8 amongst running backs in yards after contact. So I've got to put some stats to try and back my sort of foot up as per usual, Mark. But he's sort of yards after contact per attempt is 5th, and missed tackles is 8th in the league. And we reckon that he should see plenty of touches against the Saints defense. Again, a decent matchup, running backs against the defense, and the Saints defense has allowed the 4th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. How about that for a stat?
Nice, liking that one.
Yeah, so again, usually just playing the matchup and just find if you can find a few gems that may well be available to be picked up before the games if anybody's looking for running back cover there. So yeah, Jonathan Stewart is my first pick there for the running back for the Carolina Panthers. I was going to mention Kenny Stills again for anybody out there. I've checked some of the leagues, and he was bizarrely still available. So, they obviously didn't heed our advice, but maybe people have got him in for this week. We've got another, obviously on the reverse side there, we've got Carolina at New Orleans, and then obviously Kenny Stills seems to be the favourite of Drew Brees at the moment. The Saints seem to, want to be looking to get the season back on track again, and even though they're potentially still going to have a losing record, could still probably win that very, very poor NFC South division. So Kenny Stills, I've got to mention him again on there for anybody on that. So, but a quick run through from Kenny to another wide receiver, Mark, which is Nate Washington. Now, this is the classic matchup that everybody's looking forward to today from Tennessee against the New York Giants. Totally one for the neutral, I don't think there. But the Titans are struggling with injuries in terms of the wide receiver position because Nate Washington is currently, he's listed as the Titans' number 3 wide receiver. But again, if anybody out there is looking for cover, potentially in the flex position as well, or replacing an injured wide receiver in their fantasy team, then Nate Washington may be one to sort of have a look for and there, because the Titans have lost Justin Hunter. Kendall Wright is having issues with his wrist. And then so the door's there, the door's open really for Washington to sort of prove a point. And he actually, we think he should get a bit more of a workload as a result this week as well. So again, you could probably get, in excess of probably 80 yards and potentially a touchdown there. Certainly against the Giants, who are looking, worse every single week, I think, on there. So don't start your Giants. There you go.
We've gone a full 180 then, from start all Giants to don't start. So you know what's going to happen now. Eli Manning's going to go
Tennessee
off.
Out now, aren't they? Of course.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite, again, in the same game, we've got the tight end Delaney Walker. Again, it's a really, really good matchup. If anybody's, again, looking for a replacement on the tight end, again, it's an injury-prone position there, particularly at this time of year. And it's a good matchup for the tight end against the Giants. Because since week 6, again, some more stats to back up, since week 6, only Chicago has allowed more fantasy points per game to the tight end position than the New York Giants. So there you go, Mark.
Wow, didn't know that.
So yeah, a few stats there to try and back up my thoughts on some of these guys as well. And just finally, I'm just going to throw a few in really from just a few potential sits for anybody out there looking at the matchups again this week. Quarterback Mark Sanchez has been in particularly well recently for the Philadelphia Eagles. However, they're playing the Seahawks, which I think is the second game on Sky Sports tonight, I think, at around 9:15-ish, something like that. So again, Philadelphia against Seattle, how good is that Seattle defense? Well, they're going to get tested, I think, tonight, definitely by Philadelphia. Now, again, if those Seahawks are sort of back to their best, then Sanchez, and we know his history, potentially could struggle. But again, would you necessarily start him if you've got a choice between him and a few other another quarterback on your team? Again, just have a look at the matchups out there as well. The same can be said for the running back Alfred Morris for the Washington franchise. Particularly when Colt McCoy, again, I've just been doing a bit of digging here on Alfred Morris. Colt McCoy has been starting for the last 2 games instead of RG3, and Morris doesn't seem to do very well when Colt McCoy is a starting quarterback for Washington. So just keep an eye out on that as well. And St. Louis are particularly good against the running game as well. Because believe it or not, they faced Adrian Peterson, DeMarco Murray, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles, and Marshawn Lynch this season, and C.J. Anderson for Denver as well, and done particularly well against those sort of premier running backs in the league. So Alfred Morris owners potentially have a think about sitting him this week based on the matchup. And you can say the same I'll just rattle off just finally, same for Steven Jackson for Atlanta, Keenan Allen, who did very, very well last week for San Diego. They're against the New England Patriots, of course, today. So, again, just have a think about that. Same with Julian Edelman, the New England wide receiver, doesn't seem to be getting many catches. And Kobe Feline is an interesting one for the Indianapolis at Cleveland. Feline has done particularly well this season, but the Browns are generally decent against the opposing tight ends. I think they allow the 8th fewest fantasy points per game to the tight end position. So again, Kobe Fleener potentially there for the Indianapolis Colts there to finish off with, Mark.
Nice. We do have a rumour here from Cameron. You do know Cameron at C4.
Oh, I know Cameron, yeah.
He does say on the Spreaker app, but rumours abound that Simon may be intoxicated next week when he does his fantasy FUD slot.
Yes, we're going to have to sort of sort that out next week because I'm visiting the boys in Dundee. At the Fourth Down Out boys, Dundee NFL. I visited them in September, so I said I'd nip back before Christmas. Saying nip back, it's a 4-hour train trip for me, so it's not too bad. But potentially, no, I'll probably be okay actually because I'll probably be not partaking of alcohol by the time I give you a call next week, Mark. But any time after that, then yeah, it could be a little bit dangerous actually. But yeah, really looking forward to it actually. Hopefully trying to get some of the guys together as well that follow us in the local area, and it should be a really good night.
Sounds like good fun. Because I remember listening to the podcast that you did after you went up for the opening game of the season.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I do believe that Russell couldn't really remember a great deal of that.
No, but that's not unusual for Russell though. To be honest, for those of anybody out there, Russell's he's the wee man. He's my colleague on the Fourth Down and Out podcast that we do generally every week. But yeah, he's Coach Russell Duke. Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic bloke, but he probably wouldn't remember much about it, I wouldn't imagine. So, but I would imagine the same for next week as well. So ask him on Monday, and he won't have a clue what happened on Sunday night.
You need to set him up in some sort of weird, bizarre way. Just say you can remember this. Just get some footage and pictures and stuff. Get him up.
I think we should do, shouldn't we? Really?
Yeah.
I should take some photographs, I think, and get them up on Twitter and get them up on the website.
As you mentioned the podcast, I do believe you dropped one the other day.
I beg your pardon. Yes, we did. Myself and Russell, we did a podcast which is available to download on iTunes and various other outlets. You can go onto the Dundee NFL website as well to download that. That's at Dundee NFL on Twitter. You can also email us at DundeeNFL at gmail.com. As I said, you can find us on the web at Dundee NFL, and the podcast is called Fourth Down and Out.
Awesome. On that note as well, I've redesigned my website, and you will find on the blog section there's a thing called Our Friends, and there's a picture of the Dundee Fourth Down and Out there, your logo. If you just click on that bumps you directly to your website.
Oh, right, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Mark.
Anytime, sir. It's the least I can do with all the fancy advice snacks. I'm pretty clueless on it, to be fair.
And some people probably say the same about me, I'm sure.
Well, we will chase those people down with sharp sticks.
Yes, definitely.
Thoughts on the Johnny news and Hoyer? What's your take on that?
I think it's probably a sensible decision. Certainly, whilst the Browns are still in the wildcard hunt, I think that's why they've done that. They brought Hoyer back in and starter, haven't they, for today's game against the Colts? So it's probably a sensible thing to do. However, if he carries on like he has been for the last sort of 3 or 4 games, then he's got to get benched, isn't he? Again, I would imagine, and then that'll be permanent. And I would imagine that if the Browns lose at home against the Colts today, that's definitely the season over. I would imagine, and then that sort of opens the way for Johnny Manziel to play the final 3 games and for the Browns to have a good look at see what they've got. Yeah,
so it should be. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he's got him to where you are. Last few games, like you say, he's been woeful and fairness. And if he stinks come at half time, he'll probably be benched, and that'll be that. And then we'll see. It
is a bit of a shame, really, for him, Mark, because he started 15 games for the Browns in his career with the Browns, and he's 10-5 as a starter, which is not bad when you look at it.
No, not considering when you look at your division as well. The teams in your division alone are tough, are big asks, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but the Browns have not exactly been in fantastic sort of form over the course of the last few seasons. So he's sort of breathed new life into the team for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's given us that solidity that we've needed at that quarterback position, definitely. But again, as I've been saying all season, really, this is probably about as good as you're going to get from him. And the feeling is real that Manziel, his ceiling is a lot higher than Hoyer's, so he's got far more potential in the future, I think.
Cool. One last thing on the Browns then. A sneaky under-the-radar coach of the year, Mike Patton. What a job he's done there. He's handled all this quarterback nonsense. You've got you onto a winning record now, still on the verge of the playoffs. Outside of all the big names, Bruce Arians, Belichick and all that, is there anyone doing a better job than what he's doing?
Well, probably not. When you think about it, Mark, I don't want to sound too biased, but he has done a fantastic job. You know, he's a really likeable character as well, but he's very, very tough on the players.
Yeah.
Which he should be. But he's got them very, very well disciplined, very, very well organised. He started with the defence, although the defence hasn't played well at the early part of the season, but I think they're hitting the peak now in terms of how they're playing and restricting the opponents. But he's got them really, really well disciplined as Pettin. He's dealt with issues like, say, Mark, around the quarterback position, the issues around Ben Tate, you know, with his sort of mouthing off, and then the week later he was released, which I think was the right thing to do. So he doesn't take any nonsense, does he? So,
no, not at all.
That shows the Browns play like that as well.
Yeah,
so they've got a lot of attitude.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Patton. I loved him when he was with the Jets and he went to the Bills, did a great job there, and I mentioned at the beginning of the year he'd do a good job for the Browns, and I just like the guy in general, so I like seeing people do well that I like, so that's good.
Yeah, and I'm hoping the Browns do really well on, because they're on this is the first time they've been on a Sunday night, Sunday game on Sky this year as well, this season. They're playing, as I said before, they're playing the Colts at home, and it should be a fairly decent matchup actually at 6 o'clock this evening. And just a bit of a shout out to our friend at Dundee NFL, Jeff Reinbold. He's back from Canada, and he's on giving the analysis on Sky Sports NFL tonight.
Yes, he's back to anyone that keeps Neil Reynolds from talking. I'm all for.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Couldn't agree more, Mark.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that's universal, that comment. Anyway, I think we should leave it on that then, Simon. Again, sir, I appreciate your insight and you coming on and helping me out, mate. It's much appreciated.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I'll speak to you next week.
Okay, then, Simon. Take care. Hope the decorating goes to plan and you get that sorted soon as, mate.
Thank you. Cheers,
all right,
mate.
Buddy. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
And that was Simon from at Dundee NFL. So please go check out their podcast. It's DundeeNFL.com. If you've missed that, I've got a link on my website as well, ZoneCoverageFootballShow.com. Just click on the little picture there. It's on the blog section. So go check that out. And as always, fantastic stuff. Excuse me. Right then, jumping back to Twitter briefly. We have a tweet. I've never seen this guy before. Robert at RobertW_97. He says, with the Saints and the Falcons showing improvements last week, do you see the NFC South winner doing well in the playoffs? I've actually heard this theory a couple of times now on a few other podcasts, so I'm not going to claim it's my own. That would be wrong, but the way that we've seen it with the Giants, haven't we? What did the Giants do when they won their Super Bowl? They squeaked in 9-7. Obviously, the Saints and the Falcons are not going to get that sort of record. But once you're in, you're in. A one game, and anything can happen scenario. We saw the Giants went in, knocked the Packers off, knocked the 49ers off. Unbelievable. So I could definitely see the form that they're in. If they both win today, then yeah, why not? I can definitely see them causing an upset. It's not, again, any given Sunday, and if we just look at what the Giants did a few years back when they won their Super Bowls, exactly the same sort of scenario, bit up and down during the season, sneaked in, hit form at the right time, and that was that. They're on to the big dance, beat the Pats, everyone's a winner. Except for the Pats. Right then, let's carry on the tweets. Marty says, don't jinx Fellini in regards to Simon's advice on the Fantasy 5 at 4:45. Going back to Robert. Appreciate the tweet, Robert. Thank you very much, sir. Fourth down and out. I think this is Russell. I'll be surprised if I remember this week's games. Russell likes to have a tipple there. And also, appreciate that. Fourth down and out at Dundee NFL. Loving the look of the new site. Thank you to the Zone Coverage for linking to us, Russell. Russell, you are more than welcome. And I must remember, pass on my best wishes to Martin. I do know, I did drop him a message on Facebook the other day. He's working a couple of jobs at the moment and very, very busy man. So I will check in on him. So love to all the guys there, fourth down and out. Right then, last 10 minutes of the show. I'm going to shut the phone lines, not that they've exactly been ringing off the hook. But I've got to get out of here at 5:15 to go collect the wife. The joys, eh? Right then, sort of start wrapping this up. No late news from... what's it called now? At Huddle Magazine, Tom. Tom's not with us this week, so I did say I'd do some plugging for him. Go to huddlemagazine.com, download the latest copy there. Evan Coscarelli's on the front. Everyone's a winner. Let's get into the fixtures for today. What do we have? Right, oh Christ, I've made that screen go big and can't see a sodding thing. Here we go. Right then, we have the Jets at the Vikings. We have the Steelers at the Bengals. That's an interesting game for the division there. The Rams at the Redskins. We have the Giants at the Titans. Panthers at the Saints. Ravens at the Dolphins. Colts at the Browns. That is your first game on Sky, 6 o'clock tonight. Tampa Bay Bucks at the Detroit Lions. We have the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. We had the Bills and their young, outstanding defensive front going to Denver to take on the Broncos. We then have the Cardinals. For me, another belting game this will be. Chiefs-Cardinals. And we then have the Seattle Seahawks at Philadelphia Eagles. That is your 9:25 game on Sky. So that's 9:25 Sky. We then have the Battle of the Bay, 49ers at the Oakland Raiders. And then the Channel 4 game tonight, 1:30 in the morning, Sunday night, Monday morning, and that is the New England Patriots at the San Diego Chargers, Channel 4. And then your Monday night game, which is available on Eurosport, again, 1:30 in the morning, that is the Falcons. They travel to the Green Bay Packers, and that would be an upset if the Falcons knocked off the Packers at Lambeau. So, fingers crossed this window will shrink and I don't cut the show off. Woohoo! Yes! Well, now we're cooking. Right then, jump that screen back over to there and away we go. So that is your fixtures this week. What else can we look at here? Let's get into the standings then. Let's have a look at the standings and then I'll give you a quick overview of the playoff picture. So as it is at the moment, the NFC East, we have the Philadelphia Eagles sit there 9-3. Up next, the Cowboys 9-4. Eagles on a 2-game winning streak. Cowboys won their last game on Thursday night against the Bears. We have the Giants 3-9. They've lost 7 on the bounce. The Washington Redskins, they are also 3-9. They have lost 4 on the bounce. I just realised it. Did you know the Philadelphia Eagles are 6-0 at home and the Dallas Cowboys are 6-0 on the road? Interesting, because then they'll square off next week in Philly. Right then, on to the NFC North. Green Bay Packers 9-3. They're on a 4-game winning streak. The Detroit Lions 8-4. Packers, they're also 6-0 at home. We then have the Minnesota Vikings, who have had a decent season in fairness. Bridgewater's been up and down, but they're looking okay, considering they lost AP and now McKinnon's gone for the season. They are 5-7. And we then have Chicago Bears, who... How the Chicago Bears are 5-8 is beyond me. They should be about 2-8, which is an even more bizarre statement there of those weapons and that. It just doesn't add up. I have no idea what's going on there. But yeah, the Bears have lost the last 2 games. Into the South, 5-7, I've mentioned earlier. The Falcons lead the way. Saints 5-7, both won the last game, so on a winning streak of 1. Then we have the Panthers, who are on a 6-game losing streak. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-10. They are 0-6 at home and 0-4 in the division. NFC West, Cardinals clinging on to top spot here, 9-3, lost the last 2 games. Seahawks breathing down their necks. 8-4 record, won their last 2 games. 49ers on the outside looking in when we get to in regards to the playoff picture, which we'll look at in a moment. They are 7-5. And then the St. Louis Rams 5-7. Much improved St. Louis Rams, I must say. We did give them a little bit of praise earlier on in the show. And then to the AFC East we go. Shocker, Pats atop here, 9-3. Lost the first game in about 7 or 8 last time round. The Miami Dolphins 7-5, and then we have the Buffalo Bills 7-5, won their last 2 games. My team that caused me great pain and misery every Sunday. The Jets, they are 2-10, lost the last 2 games. Into the AFC North, we then have the Bengals, 8-3-1. Won the last 3 games. The Bengals have won 3 road games on the bounce. The Bengals at home today against the Steelers. I'm going Steelers. I'm picking the Steelers today. We then have the Baltimore Ravens, who last week I said would win the division. That turned out well. Kiss of death there. Steelers 7-5, Browns 7-5. So that division pretty much up for grabs still. Into the AFC South we go. The Indianapolis Colts 8-4, won the last 2 games. Houston Texans with the league's MVP JJ Watt, regardless of record. None of this quarterback nonsense. JJ Watt, MVP, done and dusted. 6-6. Tennessee Titans 2-10, lost the last 6 games. The Zach attack just ain't working. Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-10. Also, they won the last game, knocking off the Giants, which brought me great joy. Into the West we go. There's a song there. Into the West we go. Anyway, the Denver Broncos are 9-3, won their last 2 games. San Diego Chargers 8-4, won their last 3 games. The Chiefs are slipping now. I'm out on the Chiefs. I'm out. I'm done. The Chiefs, I was on board. I loved you for a couple of weeks. What's happened? You lost the last 2 games, 7-5 currently. The Oakland Raiders are 1-11 after just an abysmal performance last week against the Rams. The Rams dropped a 50 burger on them. That is the standings. One last check in as Russell Duke has jumped in on the Spreaker chat room. Everyone is welcome in the Dundee area next week. So if you are in and around the Dundee area next week, hit up at Dundee NFL for what appears to be one big booze up. So and obviously there'll be some football involved there. So go and do that and contact the guys there at Dundee NFL. Download the podcast, guys. Dundee NFL, 4th down and out. Go and do that. iTunes, Stitcher. Just search for it. Simple. Take 2 minutes of your life. Right then, a quick look at the playoff race before we wrap this bad boy up. In the AFC, the New England Patriots have the number 1 overall place there, obviously 9-3. I won't go through the records, we all know those. Denver Broncos, the 2nd seed. The Bengals currently hold the 3rd seed. Colts, 4th seed. San Diego Chargers are then the 5th seed. The Dolphins currently 6th seed, 7-5. But we have the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, all 7-5. So the battle for that, the last sort of wild card space there is heating up, to say the very least. In then to the NFC, Cardinals hold the number 1 seed there. Packers hold the number 2. Got the Eagles are the number 3 seed. The 5-7 Falcons are the number 4 seed. Cowboys then 9-4, the 5th seed. Seahawks are in at the moment 8-4. The Lions are also 8-4, 7th seed. The 49ers are there 8th seed, 7-5. The Saints, they're still in the picture. Obviously, they can win the division. They take the 4th seed spot, which would be absolutely bizarre. They've got the in the hunt Minnesota, which is rot, basically. So yeah, that's what that sort of boils down to in your playoff picture there. And that's pretty much it for today's show, in fairness. And I feel like that went well. Another decent show. Fan versus fan didn't happen. Hopefully we'll get that sorted next week. Spoiler alert, big game. Cowboys Eagles fans, get tweeting at me at Zone Coverage FS if you want me on Fan versus Fan. Giving you a heads up now, plenty of room. A massive, massive, massive thank you to everyone today that's been in on the Spreaker app. Russell, Cameron, Martin, John, Adam. Who else was on there? Yeah, Adam Vaughan a couple of times. Noel as well. Also to everyone that's tweeted in today, we've had Marty at Toontime88, Robert at RobertW_97, the guys at Dundee NFL, at RocketRon_65, Eurojets. Who else is Tinley24? That's the wrong button. Who else? Taylor at _Equinox. Who else? I think that's... Will Davis, as always, not only a hat rack. Cameron at C4MRIN. Scott Larkin. as well. Talked to Scott regularly. Charlie Andrews, he was on the Fan vs. Fan a few weeks back now at Yankee Twat. I can say that to Twitter handle. I won't get the explicit warning for that. Every time the Jets lose, he sends me a message saying your team sucks. I have some great banter with Charlie. Really, really good guy. Originally from Boston, living over in the UK now. So it is a fun chap, is Charlie. I like the banter that goes on back and forth there. Also talked to Nick Cork earlier on. I had a good conversation about the 49ers. So appreciate that. Ray O'Connor as well. Been doing a few retweets here. Pretty much everyone that sort of retweeted and interacted over the course of the last few weeks. Much appreciated. Get to the website, all new, fandangled, funky website. Let me know your thoughts on that on www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com. Keep the tweets coming, iTunes, Stitcher. Just retweet the crap out of everything that you see me do. And that's pretty much it. That wraps up today's show. Again, massive thank you to Simon for coming on. Everyone that's tuned in via the TuneIn app and the Spreaker apps, it's much appreciated. I shall be back next week. I think it's about time we did a not so great 8. So we'll mix that up, the news and all that as usual. So that is that for another fantastic week. And remember, hustle, hit, and never quit.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Unable to listen live? We've got that covered. Simply search the Zone Coverage Football Show in either iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to subscribe. All our shows and details on how to call into the show can be found on the website www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com.